The broadcast and the first portents. On a dark winter night, as bitter winds howled outside and the moon hid behind swirling clouds, Adam sat alone in his study. The room reeked of old paper and time-worn leather, its walls lined with dusty tomes and relics of forgotten lore. With meticulous care, he arranged his desk, positioning multiple monitors, cameras, and recording devices, for a live broadcast dedicated to the scariest real-life paranormal encounters he had ever heard. That night, the flickering lamp's weak glow cast dancing shadows along the walls, transforming the familiar study into a realm of eerie presences. Little did Adam know that as he prepared to share these spine-chilling tales, he was on the verge of crossing a threshold from which there was no return. He began his broadcast in a calm, measured tone. Welcome to another night of horror and mystery. Tonight, I will share with you some of the most terrifying real-life encounters with the supernatural. Stories both documented and passed down through generations. But I urge you to consider, what if these legends are not merely tales, but real encounters with forces beyond our understanding? Almost immediately, the chat exploded with messages. Viewers recounted their own brushings with the inexplicable, and excitement mingled with apprehension filled the digital air. Amid the flood of messages, a private note from an unknown sender appeared on his screen. Be careful what you summon, for some doors should never be opened. Adam paused, a flicker of unease running through him, but he dismissed the message as a prank, nothing more than an attempt to heighten the atmosphere of the evening. Without further hesitation, Adam launched into his first story, a chilling account of a man who ventured into an abandoned mansion on the outskirts of town. The mansion, a relic of a once grand estate owned by a family rumored to have harbored dark secrets, had stood empty for decades. Locals whispered that at night, eerie cries could be heard echoing from its crumbling corridors, and those brave enough to enter were overwhelmed by an almost suffocating dread. The man, driven by insatiable curiosity, had disappeared without a trace. Only scattered belongings and unanswered questions remained behind. As Adam painted a vivid picture of the mansion's decaying opulence, its grand halls now shrouded in dust and sorrow, the chat filled with theories and shared experiences, each message reinforcing the sense of foreboding that now gripped him. Encouraged by the reactions, he segued into a second tale, a story of a young girl who, while exploring her grandmother's attic, discovered an antique mirror. This was no ordinary mirror, Adam explained, but one steeped in lore. It was said to be haunted by the tormented soul of a long-deceased woman. The girl, mesmerized by her own reflection, soon noticed a second figure, a distorted, ghostly version of herself moving independently, as if mocking her innocence. The narrative grew more intense as Adam described the growing terror in the girl's eyes and the inexplicable chill that enveloped the room. His voice wavered slightly, echoing the deep-seated fear that such a revelation might bring. At that moment, as if the universe itself wished to remind him that some mysteries were best left unexplored, a sharp knock resounded against his study's window. Adam's heart skipped a beat. He turned slowly, half expecting to see one of his viewers pranking him, yet the window was empty, save for the cold wind that seemed to whisper dark secrets. With a nervous chuckle, he quipped to his online audience, "I think I'm starting to get spooked by my own stories." But as he looked back at his monitor, his blood ran cold. Reflected in the screen was a dark, indistinct figure standing silently behind him, a presence that defied explanation. His pulse pounded furiously as he spun around, only to find his room empty. "I must be imagining things," he muttered, trying to dismiss the unsettling vision as a trick of the light. Yet, deep down, a seed of dread had taken root, a feeling that this night would soon grow far more sinister than any story he had ever told. The unraveling and descent into the void. Determined to regain control of the broadcast, Adam pressed on. Yet the atmosphere in the room had shifted dramatically. The lights flickered erratically as if responding to an unseen force, and the air grew thick with a presence that was both oppressive and menacing. With each word he spoke, the darkness seemed to close in tighter, whispering secrets that were never meant to be heard by mortal ears. It was as if the very fabric of reality was bending under the weight of the stories he was sharing. Suddenly, the screen went pitch black. The live broadcast cut out abruptly, leaving a void that was both physical and psychological, a space where the only sound was the racing of his heart. From this utter blackness, an image emerged, a distorted face, its features twisted in a mix of agony and malevolence. The eyes of this spectral visage seemed to pierce directly into Adam's soul. In a low, raspy voice that resonated with ancient menace, the apparition intoned, "You called us, and now we will never leave." The words echoed like a death knell, reverberating through the darkened room. In a state of panic, Adam lunged for the power button, desperate to end the nightmarish transmission. But every control remained unresponsive, as if seized by an otherworldly force. The room vibrated with a rising cacophony of disembodied whispers, voices that grew louder, merging into a singular, horrifying chorus. The walls trembled violently, and the lamp flickered with a life of its own. In that moment, the cryptic warning he had dismissed earlier returned to him with brutal clarity. "I didn't mean to. I just wanted to share the stories," he stammered, retreating into a shadowed corner as if seeking shelter from the impending storm of the supernatural. The sinister presence intensified. The distorted face on the screen now seemed to multiply, its ghastly countenance reflecting in every dark surface of the study. The room was filled with a relentless, eerie laughter, mocking, hollow, and unfathomably ancient. Adam's mind raced, trying to comprehend the magnitude of the horror he had unwittingly unleashed. Each whisper carried the weight of untold centuries and hidden sins, as if the very spirits he had spoken of were converging upon him. The once familiar study was transforming into a prison of the unseen, a realm where the normal laws of nature no longer applied. As time itself seemed to warp and lose meaning, the broadcast's termination was not the end but rather the beginning of a deeper descent. The black screen that replaced his live feed now served as a portal to an unknown dimension, a purgatory of endless night. In this void, Adam's senses betrayed him. Shadows danced in erratic patterns, and the once sterile hum of electronics was replaced by the constant, low murmur of a presence that was both everywhere and nowhere. It was in these moments of unbearable isolation that he began to truly understand the peril of his curiosity. The supernatural entities he had long dismissed as mere stories were now undeniably real, and their intrusion into his world was as inevitable as it was devastating. Every few moments, the void would be punctuated by flickers of light and fragmented images, visions of distant places, echoes of past lives, and glimpses of horrors beyond human comprehension. One such moment revealed a distorted, ghostly face that resembled his own, its eyes burning with a feverish intensity that made him recoil in terror. Another flash brought forth images of ancient symbols and cryptic writings, scattered across a landscape that defied logic. These sudden apparitions were like jarring puzzle pieces, each one hinting at a larger, more terrifying design at work behind the curtain of reality. In this relentless descent, Adam's mind began to fray. Memories of his previous life, laughter, warmth, and the comfort of normalcy, were gradually replaced by an overwhelming sense of dread and despair. His attempts to call out, to appeal to some hidden mercy within the darkness, were met with only silence or the mocking echoes of his own voice. Every moment in the void was a battle against the growing terror, a fight to hold onto the last vestiges of hope that someday he might escape the nightmare he had inadvertently unleashed. Confrontation, revelation, and the final warning. As days blurred into an endless night, Adam's plight became a crucible of suffering and introspection. Trapped in this surreal and unforgiving realm, he finally recognized that his relentless pursuit of the paranormal had exacted a terrible toll. Every whispered legend, every tale of spectral torment he had once shared with enthusiasm, now bore the heavy truth that some doors, once opened, can never be closed. With no physical escape in sight, his only solace lay in confronting the malevolent forces head-on, even if that meant recording his own descent into madness for the sake of warning others. In a desperate bid to reclaim some semblance of control, Adam began to speak directly into the oppressive void. "If you are here," he implored, his voice raw with desperation, "show me a sign that I can be free of this torment. Let me return to the world I once knew, where light still banished the darkness." His pleas, though fervent, were met only with the cold, unyielding silence of an indifferent force. Yet, in that silence, a revelation slowly began to emerge. The very images that had haunted him, the distorted face, the ghostly reflections, and the cryptic symbols, were all part of a larger tapestry, one woven from the threads of forbidden knowledge and unspeakable power. Then, one fateful moment, when the torment reached its zenith, the black screen flickered once more. This time, it displayed a rapid montage of images, the familiar contours of his study, the deserted street outside his home under a starless sky, and a haunting glimpse of his own anguished face. Overlaid on these images were symbols and words, scrawled in a handwriting that seemed to echo from another era. One message in particular resonated deeply: "Some doors, once opened, can never be closed." It was as if the universe itself had delivered a dire warning, a curse born from unbridled curiosity. In that moment of grim clarity, Adam understood the true cost of his insatiable quest for truth. The paranormal encounters he had once recounted with a mixture of skepticism and fascination were not idle fictions. They were manifestations of forces that lurked just beyond the veil of normalcy. He realized that by sharing those ghost stories, he had unwittingly called forth beings that now held him captive in an endless night. His fate was sealed the moment he had let his curiosity override caution. Determined to leave a final testament, Adam began to document every harrowing detail of his ordeal. With trembling hands, he scribbled down his memories and revelations on scraps of paper salvaged from the void. His words became a desperate plea and a warning to any who might one day tread the same perilous path. In our relentless pursuit of the unknown, we must never forget that some secrets are best left undisturbed. The world is filled with mysteries beyond our understanding, and the price of forbidden knowledge is often far too high. His final inscription echoed with sorrow and bitter wisdom, a message meant to serve as a beacon to those who might follow in his footsteps. As time stretched into what felt like an eternity, the spectral voices and the haunting laughter receded into a background murmur, leaving behind only the relentless memory of a man trapped between worlds. The void, with its perpetual darkness, bore silent witness to his final realization that the pursuit of paranormal truth, while alluring, could lead to a labyrinth of despair from which no mortal could emerge unscathed. In his final recorded words, a soliloquy meant for an audience that might someday stumble upon this cursed broadcast, Adam offered one last caution. Remember this: some doors, once opened, can never be closed. The pursuit of forbidden knowledge may grant us a glimpse of the darkness that lies beyond, but it exacts a toll that few are prepared to pay. Tread carefully in your quest for truth, and let my fate serve as a warning to all who dare to challenge the boundaries of the unknown. Even now, whispers persist among those who claim to have encountered the remnants of his live stream. They say that at precisely 3:33 a.m., if one dares to watch, the screen reveals fleeting images: a ghostly figure in an empty room, the anguished visage of a soul lost to the void, and the silent testimony of a man who paid the ultimate price for curiosity. If you have been moved by this tale of horror and despair, if you have felt even a fraction of the terror that consumed me, I urge you: subscribe to our channel, turn on notifications, and share this story far and wide. Do not let these dark lessons fade into oblivion. Hit the like button and join the conversation. If you dare, tell us: have you ever encountered something inexplicable, something that challenged the very fabric of your reality? May this final warning echo in your hearts. Guard the doors to your soul, for some secrets, once unveiled, are forever beyond your control. End of story. Please remember to subscribe, like, and share if you enjoyed this chilling experience. Stay safe, stay curious, and above all, stay cautious.